I suppose I could drop on the call here that going back to the Obama election periods, black box voting was a good resource of intel back then, although there are other things called True the Vote and so on and so forth, different groups that are advocating for honest election systems. And we apparently have been deprived in many areas, maybe not across the board, but in population centers seems to be their focus of targeted antics, if you will, or tampering with the elections. And this is very, very dangerous to freedom and liberty, and our country's in a well of a mess. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I can't help but think that the manner in which Paul has got his complaint on these issues formatted for a federal grand jury, that our court might be able to fill the vacuum there. It seems like, from what I recall Paul saying, the federal grand jury is not responding. It sounds like that might be construable as obstruction of justice in the federal courts, because Paul's not getting any answer, and he's raising some important issues here. And thereunder, I think that's a prime opportunity for our humble little Supreme Court of Law for the USA to step on the stage and fill the vacuum that's apparently quite present in addressing, I'm sure, what are well-articulated issues by Paul Nally and the 40 other that are signatory to their general complaint before that federal grand jury. Do y'all have any comments or questions about that proposition? I yield.
Just Chris would add that I have seen some indications. It's too soon to conclude yet, but it's been about 14 days since or maybe 13 or so, since I mailed my complaint along with my $400 check to the Oklahoma, which is Congress's court under 28 U.S.C. 132 specifically, and they have yet to confirm, respond, answer, or docket. From what I can see, although I haven't had the ability to check online, it does cause me some concern, and Paul's experience suggests that there might be a pattern in practice evincing itself that the federal courts, which have very likely have been taken over by the International Monetary Fund, along with the DOJ and the FBI and the Secretary of State's office, may be obstructing justice, and we may be fairly eviscerated of our Republican form of government, in my observation, and that would be very troubling in my view.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment to that to say that this is David. I've been to the U.S. Supreme Court with 5 different cases. I've at least written it well enough to get it to the clerk's office and to do everything that the state of Texas has just done to get theirs dismissed by the Supreme Court. So with that said, I have my cases. All 5 of them did make a confrontation of the facts, as I always do, base it on evidence, and the U.S. Supreme Court is exactly the way you described. They are complacent. They know it exists. They aren't doing anything about it. There is no checks and balances on any other branch of government. And they're in malfeasance, and I have posted a video to that effect on a website, Power Corrupts Again. I've recently had some problems with that because of WordPress updating, but So I'm not sure if that's, I haven't had time to go back to that to make sure that it's up and running, but I did create a video back around 2011 that showed that I am calling out. I was then calling out Eric Holder and all of the U.S. Supreme Court justices, being the executive branch and the judicial branch, of crimes of treason, sedition, and everything else, a domestic terrorist. And I yield.
Thank you, David. I'm glad you so articulately summarized that bottleneck, that institutionalized obstruction of justice that is routinely transpiring under the federal de facto municipal Supreme Court. Yes, it's important that more than one voice affirm that is the reality of the situation, especially in these recorded phone conferences, which are intended to function as a court of public record. You hear that, you de facto U.S. Supreme Court judges? We're accusing you of obstructing justice. And we're talking about moving into the vacuum because you are too either incompetent, aka stupid, or else you're corrupted. And you're routinely obstructing things like Paul Nally's, we presume, well-worded petition to the grand jury. That's on your feet. That's at your front door. And it's got to change. The American people aren't going to take it anymore. We got the right to alter, reform, or abolish our government, just like Nikki routinely reminds us. And we're going to be doing that because it's obvious that you're entrenched in either your stupidity or your corruption. It don't matter which. We got to bring about changes because you are not responsive to the organic body politic needs of our common people. On the record. And FBI and DOJ agents that are listening in to this conversation and recording it for yourselves, why don't you just go ahead and point that out to those Supreme Court judges? Just relay it on over there. Bring it to their attention, okay? Ask them what we should do about that because they're the Supreme Judicial Officers. If you think we're doing something wrong, you ask them how you low-level grunts should be responding lawfully to what we're doing. If you want to send somebody to jail, start with me, Charles Stewart. I live in Coleman, Texas.